Well, the U.S. Senate has confirmed Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson.
That's right. The Senate voted 53 to 47 in her favor, making Judge Jackson the first black woman to sit on the country's highest court. 3 Republican senators supported Jackson: Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitt Romney, which is a far cry from the overwhelming bipartisan confirmations of Supreme Court justices from the past, but is more in line with the Justices Barrett and Kavanaugh and Clarence Thomas. They had similar numbers. It does represent as well a bipartisan accomplishment for the Biden administration in the currently very narrow 50-50 Senate.
Yeah, let's go over to Capitol Hill, where we'll find CBS News political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns to talk about what we saw today and the process leading up to this. Caitlin, Ketanji Brown Jackson, as we know, will be the first, or now is the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. You know, if the 53 to 47 vote is any indication, roughly half of the people walking through the halls of Congress right now did not want to see this happen, at least in terms of their vote. So what exactly is the atmosphere like there on Capitol Hill on this historic day?
Hey, Mola, it is a historic day. No matter your politics, it is a history made as Ketanji Brown Jackson will become the first black woman to sit on the Supreme Court. You mentioned that she got support from 3 Republicans. Now, that doesn't seem like a big number, but it really is if you consider kind of how partisan things are up here on Capitol Hill, especially when it comes to judicial nominations. You kind of ticked through the breakdowns that we've seen in recent years, and talking to Republicans and Democrats up here, they have really lamented the fact that this process has devolved into a really partisan one. And there have been lots of questions raised up here over the past couple of days about what future nominating fights will look like. Lindsey Graham, for example, earlier this week said that if Republicans were in control of the Senate, Jackson may not have gotten time in front of them. And so I've been talking and reporting all week about what this process might look like moving forward. And Democrats have been telling me that they are very concerned that if Republicans take control, that nominees, not only for the Supreme Court, but judicial nominees across the board may not get hearings. And so while this is a historic day for this chamber, there are questions about what this means for future nominees. We should say, however, though, that this is a promise made, promise kept by the Biden administration, as they say. Biden, of course, campaigned and telling CBS News, breaking the news during that CBS News debate, that he would be nominating the first black woman. So talking to a lot of activists and Democrats up here, they believe that this is a fulfillment of a campaign pledge. And we'll see kind of what that does for Democrats heading into the midterm elections. Remember, they're facing a lot of headwinds. This is a president with low approval. This could be something that helps to galvanize the base of the party, particularly black voters who played such a key role in helping Biden get elected.
So, yeah, along those lines, Caitlin, as you mentioned, Judge Jackson's confirmation was not overwhelmingly bipartisan like it has been for some other justices in the distant past, right? Because she did beat out Justices Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. But if you look back to her mentor and predecessor, Stephen Breyer, it was a different political moment, right? So taking all of that into consideration, the fact that 3 Republicans ultimately did vote for her is in some ways more than we might have expected in this current political environment. What were the reasons those 3 Republicans gave?
It is, and all 3 of them said that they were voting to confirm her because she was qualified. But the statement, I think, from Lisa Murkowski, one of the Republicans who crossed the aisle to support her, I think is very telling. She said that her vote amounted to a rejection of the way in which this has become a highly politicized process. She said it has been a corrosive process that only figures to get worse. Susan Collins also telling reporters that she is lamenting the way in which the nominating process and confirmation process for Supreme Court nominees has gotten to this point where, you know, it basically becomes news if someone from across the aisle votes for the nominee. And so that kind of gives you a sense of the feelings up here on Capitol Hill. I also will say I talked to former Senator Doug Jones earlier today. He, of course, was the advisor for Ketanji Brown Jackson as she went through this process. He was, picked it for that role by the president. And I asked him, is it significant that these Republicans crossed the aisle to support her? And he said yes, but they were hoping for more. And he also told me that in this day and age, it is very difficult to get that kind of support. He said that in another time, another era, maybe 80, 90 lawmakers, senators would vote to confirm her. But in this kind of environment, bipartisanship is just so hard to come by. So the White House is taking this as a win, but it is notable that this kind of process, what it has become and what it means for the future and how it will play in the elections coming up in a few months.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It was just 20, 25 years ago we were seeing some justices being confirmed unanimously.
Incredible, isn't it?
Hard to believe. Caitlin, what's next for Judge Jackson? When will she be sworn in? Is there anything else she needs to do leading up to the swearing in and when she can actually begin serving?
Yeah, it's a really important question because Justice Breyer is not going to retire until the end of his term, which will be later this summer. And there are some big rulings that could come before that, namely a ruling perhaps on abortion rights in this country. And so we won't expect Judge Jackson to officially become Justice Jackson until later this year after the Supreme Court wraps up its term. So while this is a historic day for her, while there are a lot of Democrats in the White House celebrating, she still has several more months to go until she's actually a member of the Supreme Court. And again, a few big decisions that this court will be tackling and decisions that could have really big consequences further down the line.
Caitlin Huey-Burns on Capitol Hill, thank you so much for talking to us on this historic day. We appreciate it.
Thank you.